I'm Rip Esselstyn, and you're listening to the PLANTSTRONG Podcast. As the saying goes, heroes don't always wear capes, but in the case of today's guest, they do have plant-based food trucks. Today's episode takes us to the heart of Eastern North Carolina, where you're going to meet Lucas McLawhorn, educator, cancer survivor, and founder of Well-Fed Ed. His soulful story is coming up right after these words from PLANTSTRONG. These burger mixes have been a lifesaver. We use them for burgers, meatballs with mushroom gravy, crumbles, you name it. They come together so fast and feel so special. That's a real review from one of our PLANTSTRONG customers, and I couldn't agree more. Our oil-free, protein-packed burger mixes are pantry-ready and easy to make. Whether you're grilling, meal prepping, or craving comfort food, these burgers deliver every single time. Stock up so you'll be ready for Memorial Day weekend at plantstrong.com. Once you've tried our burgers, you'll wonder how you ever lived without them. Lucas McLawhorn grew up in rural North Carolina, and after 2 decades of teaching both in North Carolina and abroad in Switzerland, a life-changing battle with cancer changed the trajectory of his life. He's still an educator, no doubt about that, but today he educates people in his community through simple, vibrant, and delicious food with his food truck, Well-Fed Ed. I was super inspired to talk to Lucas after I watched a 27-minute documentary film all about him, and I'll be sure to make that available to you in today's show notes with a link. But his heart and his soul shine through, as you're going to hear about in today's conversation. Education is at the heart of everything that Lucas does, even in his menu items like the principal, the music teacher, the custodian, and of course, the beloved bus driver. In his own creative way, Lucas pays homage to the teachers and all those who look after our children, nourishing them like they nourish us. So let's meet this special PLANTSTRONG brother, Lucas McLawhorn. Lucas McLawhorn. Did I get that right? Hey, welcome to the PLANTSTRONG Podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. And we got a lot to unpack today, especially how a little old food truck can make the world a healthier place. And so that's what we're going to dive into today. I absolutely adore hearing people's journeys to the PLANTSTRONG promised land. And you've got a pretty amazing journey that I want to dive into. Where am I talking to you today?
I am in Wilmington, North Carolina.
And is that your home that you're in right now?
Yes, this is my home. And you'll notice some of the pictures in the background. My daughter last night turned all of our pictures upside down for April Fool's Day.
Oh, gosh.
I woke up this morning and I was like, what's going on? And so, yeah, there's another one. Yeah, I'm in my home in Wilmington, North Carolina.
So is this the house that? So this isn't where you grew up in. There was an old schoolhouse, correct?
Wow, did you research? It is not. So I grew up in an old schoolhouse in Pitt County, which is outside of Greenville, North Carolina, and that was a 3-room schoolhouse, and our bedrooms were essentially the coat rooms.
Wow.
And my grandfather went to school there. So it's pretty awesome.
That's really, really cool. Yeah. You know, I want to do something before we dive into your specific journey to discovering plant-based nutrition. I want to just throw out a term, and then I want you to tell me what it means to you. Because
I love it.
Just to let people know here, there's a documentary that came out It's called A Well-Fed Education. It's about 27 minutes long. It's all about you and what you've done with this well-fed ed meaning education, but well-fed ed food truck. And it's a fantastic 27-minute documentary. We'll be talking about it, and we'll be sure to put it in today's show notes so that people can click on it and watch it. Did that come out like a month ago, Lucas? Is that right?
So we had the premiere in August.
Oh gosh, of 24.
We did community screenings around town, at certain colleges and other schools and businesses, but it didn't come out on YouTube until a month ago. Correct.
Okay. And so what I discovered in watching this documentary is that you really have a way of waxing poetic. And so that's why I want to throw out a term and then have you just kind of wax poetic about this term. And then we'll come back and we'll revisit your journey. Does that sound good?
That's beautiful. I like waxing. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Great. So the first thing I want to throw out to you is the term teacher.
Teacher. Oh, student. It goes both ways. It's a two-way street. And I'm just grateful to have had an occupation as a teacher. And it just is a kudos and a thank you to all the teachers that have poured their love into me, and it's going back out. And that's what we do with love, right? We just keep it flowing. And that's what a true teacher does is lights that fire, ignites a passion in their student. And I truly miss being in the classroom and having time with students, a semester or 2 semesters or 2 years. Now I try to get it all in about 5 minutes in an interaction at the food truck window. But teachers are what make the world go round.
And what was it that you taught when you were a teacher?
So I taught Spanish. My family, we weren't per se rich. I tell my son all the time, you can be rich in many ways. So I tried to get a scholarship, and I found a North Carolina Teaching Fellows scholarship. And so I went to college for free, but I had to go back and teach public schools for 4 years. And so I'm just, what was the question again? I'm sorry, I spaced out.
What kind of a teacher were you? You said you were a Spanish teacher then, right?
Yeah, I was Spanish. We had so much fun. Here in North Carolina, I was a Spanish teacher and a basketball coach. And then we went overseas for 6 years, and I taught at a bilingual day school. I taught all the subjects in English. So that was a challenge, but it was beautiful to see that side of stuff.
Yeah. And just so people know, you went overseas to Switzerland. Is that because your mother over there, or is it your grandmother that's over in Switzerland?
So my mother is Swiss, and she came over to the United States in 1972. She was only 19, and she met my father, and she's been here for longer than over there. But all of her family's still over there. My grandmother, who recently passed, she was like the family matriarch, just held everybody together. Just such a loving person, and still got uncles, aunts, cousins over there. So it's a beautiful spot.
Yeah. No, it sounds dreamy. All right, here's the next thing I'm going to throw out at you. Father.
A newfound appreciation to my dad and to all dads out there. Once you become a father, you're like, wow, this is difficult. It's what I call a beautiful struggle. It's why we are here, to pass on our knowledge, our love, our legacies, and just our flames to the younger generation. It's kind of like fruit, right? We drop right from the tree and start a new tree right underneath it. And I'm just grateful to all the dads out there and parents in general. My dad taught me so much about hard work and not halfway doing anything, and just so many life lessons learned back on the family farm. And I'm so grateful.
Yeah. And so What kind of a family farm was it?
So we had everything. We had hogs, we had beef cows, but the majority of our stuff was produce. My dad, one summer we would go, every 2 or 3 years over to Switzerland to visit our family, and we'd come back, and my dad would always have something new that he did on the farm. One summer we came back and he had 2,000 blueberry bushes planted. Wow. And so we became a pick your own blueberry farm, which I love blueberries. They're so good. We have peaches, we have corn, tomatoes, all the greens you can think of. It's a paradise. It's when the birds start chirping in the springtime and there's blooms, there's beautiful peach blooms are popping out. It's amazing.
How big was the farm?
So about 75 acres. So fairly big. It was just us, our family, running it. And it's just my parents still running it today. They have a couple of workers that come during the heavy part of the season when the blueberries are just coming off in buckets. But nice. It's basically just them running the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. The next term I'm going to throw out at you is husband.
Wow. My wife is a saint, and the world works in opposites. It's just, that's how it works. There's plus and there's minus, there's night and there's day, there's husband and there's wife, and it just makes a complete circle. And I thank our Creator that He sent me my wife to make me a true husband, because I was just a mess until the real thing hit. She's the real thing, and I'm grateful. Yeah.
How long have you guys known each other?
So we were in a band together for 7 years, just best friends. Nothing more than that. And I suggest out there to everybody looking for a mate, get off the screen, look for people in real life, and find somebody that is your friend, that knows everything good, everything bad about you, because we definitely knew she doesn't have much bad about her, but she knew all my dirt, and she still loved me for it. And we just, so one day something switched, and I was scared of it because I knew this was the real thing, and I kind of shied away from it. And I had been praying for so long, and God was like, "Hey, she's right here in front of you." And I was like, "Oh God, this is serious." And so marry your best friend. It's a beautiful thing.
You talk about how obviously it was your idea to have the food truck, but how it was basically your wife's genius. What do you mean by that when you talked about your wife's genius in relation to the food truck in the documentary?
That's a great question. She's very into academia, and she has a extensive vocabulary. When I'm, stumbling over myself, searching for the right word, she just pops up with it. And she did that with the name for the company. That was the most genius thing, because I always knew I love food and I love people and I wanted to bring them together. But before my shift to plant-based, I was thinking maybe a hamburger truck or just something to bring people together, because it's all about family and friends and just company. Mm-hmm. What better way to bring people together than food? But she came up with a name. I literally had a notebook full of ideas. She said, "Well, you're a teacher. Why don't you do something with education? How about," and she just popped up with it one day in Switzerland one afternoon. She was like, "How about well-fed ed?" And everybody I talked to was like, "That name is just perfect." Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that was just the beginning of her stroke of genius, But she comes up with examples all the time.
Yeah. All right. You mentioned that you guys met as musicians. So when you hear the word musician, what does that make you think of?
Just a drum beat and truth spilling out, whether it's through a saxophone or a horn or a piano. It just brings your raw emotions to sound, whether it's speaking, coming with my friends and I, we used to, just beatbox and make up words to it. And it's just truth. And it's a beautiful thing to behold. And that's another thing that my wife is a genius with is music. She plays the accordion, she plays the piano, the clarinet, and she's teaching our kids, all their theatrical audition songs and just helping them along with it. She's strong. And music is true.
Mm-hmm.
Music, I think of true, and I just think of uplifting, and just it can break shackles and take you to another spot.
Well, I don't know how intentional this was, but I found that the background music throughout the whole documentary was really perfectly placed to a kind of accompany everything that we were watching, on the screen. So I don't know if you had a hand in that or not, but great music.
That was Jess Bradley. He's another godsend. Just did a phenomenal job with the documentary.
Yeah, nice. All right, entrepreneur.
It makes me think of my grandfather. He was an entrepreneur like no other. He was one of the first guys who had a mobile mill. He would take his mobile mill on a truck around to the local farmers and grind up their own grains for their animals. He also had a tractor store, and later he had a carpet store. And he was a true entrepreneur. And just you can't be scared. You got to be willing to take a risk. And this was a huge risk in the heart of barbecue country, coming with salads. And everybody's looking at me like, you're crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I am crazy. And I got a team of crazies behind me, and I'm doing it. So taking a risk and just mission-based entrepreneurship is awesome. When you're there to help people, you'll go through the hardest days knowing that it's worth it. And you'll climb the highest mountain just knowing that at the end of the day, no matter what happens to me, this is all worth it. And that if more businesses thought like that, we wouldn't be in this predicament we're in as a human race.
Yeah. How long have you had the food truck? When did it first get off the ground?
So we left Switzerland in July of 2022. Another stroke of genius from my wife. She said, I'm not letting you buy a food truck as soon as we get back. You have to test the waters first. And so I did catering for about 3 months. And I was like, okay, I got a little base of teachers. Go ahead.
Wait, what do you mean you did catering for 3 months? What did that look like?
So I have a commissary that I rent, and it was me packing up meals in the back of my mother-in-law's car, because we didn't have a car. We just came back from Switzerland, and we were driving my mother-in-law's car, and my parents gave me one of their cars too, which we're still driving. But basically packing up meals from the back of the commissary and delivering to the local schools to the teachers who I knew, and they would order, and just started building up a clientele. And that was 3 months worth. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. Let's do it. And so Thanksgiving Day 2022, I bought the food truck.
So in the documentary, I feel like I've seen 2 trucks. I saw one that looks like you're pulling behind a vehicle, and then another one that's an actual truck that you're driving. Is that correct or not?
That is correct as of January of this year. So we've expanded, and we took another leap of faith, and we got a trailer that does smoothies. So the trailer is the one we just got. I don't know if that's in the documentary. There are two trucks in the documentary. It's the original truck with the old wrap, and then we got a new wrap on it that's more colorful and more us. But we do have the new trailer as well that just is a recent acquisition.
Now, just to kind of continue to go down this path a little bit with the food truck, is it breakfast, lunch, dinner? Is it just lunch? What meals do you serve out of the food truck?
So we can do it all, but primarily lunch and dinner. We have some nice gluten-free pancakes that we serve for breakfast. We do an avocado toast for breakfast. So we can cover it all, but primarily we do lunch and dinner.
Nice. All right. Well, we're going to come back to the food truck because obviously it's center stage in this story, along with you. What about when you hear the word chef?
Chef. Oh, that's almost up there with father, like the amount of reverence that I give to a chef, because I had no idea. I'm not really a chef. I am a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I was never classically trained, trained in one of these culinary art schools. And I have a utmost respect just oozing out of me for all chefs out there, because it is one of the most demanding jobs there can be. And you just have to be creative, make decisions on the fly. I have become a chef through the, 4 years I've been doing this now, it seems like. I battled. There was actually a competition called Own Your Own Restaurant here in southeastern North Carolina, and the winner won a restaurant. And I was in it, and I made it from 500 entries. I made it to the final 24, and I served my dish, and I told people, I was like, I'm in awe of you chefs because you do amazing things. I'm here to help people, and I'm here to put food on their plate that will actually nourish people, and that's all I'm doing, and it's all plant-based. And I was in barbecue capital, and I served my meals out of chocolate bean mole, and the crowd loved it, and mango salsa and adobo sauce, and I was like, man, I'm a shoe-in for the next round. And we didn't make it, but that's when I met Jess. So it all happens for a reason. So chefs.
Yeah, right.
Give them one of those.
Yeah. Jess, help me out. Who's Jess?
Jess is just an amazing human being. He is one of those guys that doesn't stop. And he's been plant-based actually for 6 years now as well. And he reached out to me after I, announced on social media that we did not win or advance in the Own Your Own competition. And I remember saying in the post, I said, well, I was dejected because everybody likes winning. And it came out I wear my emotions on my sleeve. And I said, when one door closes, another one opens. You just got to have faith. Mm-hmm. And he reached out to me with an email, and he said, hey, I'd love to chat with you. I think I might be that next door opening.
Yeah.
Next window. And so we got to talking, and we hit it off. And Jess actually started filming on the truck, and it seems like he was on the truck for a year just filming. And he's the owner of Kind of Cool Productions. They do inspiring stories from people around North Carolina to try to light a fire under other people. And he just never stops. His schedule's always full, and he's just always looking to help people and get stories out there. And I'm blessed that he came across us.
It's kind of cool, isn't it?
It is. It's very cool.
Yeah. All right, cool. So the last thing I have for you is cancer survivor.
So it makes me think of the statistics. And today, 1 out of every 2 males has cancer. And that half that doesn't have cancer is on their way to developing cancer. 1 out of every 3 females has cancer or had cancer. And the other 2/3 is on their way to developing. It makes me mad. I am a cancer survivor, but I try to not focus on the frustration and focus on the joyful part of the solution. Because since allopathic medicine has been invented about 150 years ago, the Industrial Revolution, allopathic medicine, disease has skyrocketed. And if you follow what they label alternative medicine, which is in fact traditional naturopathic medicine, there's no such thing as disease. And there doesn't have to be cancer survivors. I'm grateful to the team of doctors that helped me battle cancer. But like I say in the documentary, it didn't have to come to that. It doesn't have to come to that point for for half the population of the U.S. almost.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. And I understand you have to make money to sustain a business, but we as a human race have got to put our knees on the floor and our head up to the heavens and just find another way, because we're eating the wrong stuff that's contributing to these diseases like cancer. We're shooting the wrong stuff in us with needles, which is contributing to these diseases. And we've been given everything we need on this great green earth that we just are not being great stewards of. And it's time for us to change that. So
tell me a little bit more about your particular cancer journey. When were you, when did you start feeling bad? When were you diagnosed? How did you deal with it?
So I was, it was 2015. My back started hurting and I'd sweat through 6-7 shirts a night. And I went to numerous doctors in the area and nobody found anything. And then I just wanted somebody to operate on me because I wanted a cure. And that's the problem with disease, is that we just look at the symptoms. We don't go through. And I was about this, most of the doctors here in town, they said, no, don't do anything. You don't have anything wrong with your spine. Like, don't do anything. And to their credit, I appreciate that. They were great doctors for that. But I went up to another 2 hours north of here to another facility and asked them, and they're like, no, let's operate. And so the day before I was going in for an operation, one of my friends, he actually married my wife and I, a very mystical, spiritual guy. He just called me out of the blue. He's like, don't do it. Just like he sees everything, He had no idea what I was going through. He's like, don't do the operation. And I was like, that's all you have to say. Like, I trust you for my life. And I didn't do it. And I'm glad they were going to fuse some of my vertebrae together, because I thought that's what was hurting me. But lo and behold, it was seminoma, which is what Lance Armstrong from your neck of the woods had. And it was in my testicles, but my lymph nodes were pulling it out. And the lymph node that's on my spine, right about L5, which is usually about, I don't know, this size, was about golf ball size. And it was just pushing on my spine, and nobody here saw it. And they found it in Switzerland. And that was another blessing, being placed over there. And yeah, that's where it began. In 2015, the pain started, but they didn't find it until 2016. Was spent in the doctor's offices here. We moved in the summer of 2016, and they found it in Switzerland a half a year later in 2017.
Jeez. And so it was over there that you got the treatment and got it taken care of?
Correct. Yeah.
And how did they treat it? What did you have done?
They did a cocktail of chemo, and they called it the horse tranquilizer cocktail. It was 3 different medicines that just, like, I was strapped up to a chair and they just poured it in me for 4 or 5 hours every week for 3 months. And yeah, it was if you see the documentary, you see how much weight I put on. And it was tough, but I'm thankful to those doctors, and I didn't know at the time that there's ways to prevent it. I thought that was the only option, but I do remember my cousins in Switzerland bringing me like passion fruits and oranges and all these fruits, and I was like, wow, this is so good. Just diving into those, and that's the real answer right there.
Were you ever, when you were going through the treatments, were you ever so miserable that you were like, I just want to be dead? I'm in so much pain and agony? No.
I got a fire that burns in me. There's a spirit, and I no. And I would say to anybody going through something similar, see yourself coming through it. It's like an extended flu. And if you can visualize something, then it'll manifest. You just got to put that picture out there and believe in it and see it happening. And I saw myself being healthy again, and count my blessings that here I am. Just ran 3.5 miles this morning with my wife, and she told me, Lucas, just take a deep breath for your interview and try to be concise.
Yeah, she is genius, isn't she? Now, all right. So when were you officially like cured of your cancer?
So I started the treatment in March of 2017. They finished the chemo after every week for 3 months. They finished at the end of May, I believe. And I went back and that we were going to move back home. That was the first year we were in Switzerland, but I was like, got good doctors there. Let's stay. So we ended up staying for 6 years. And I went back the next fall. It was in the fall, and they said, yeah, there's no more cancer. We're still going to do checkups every 3 months for the first couple years, and then every year after that. And it's been gone since they nuked it with the chemo.
And so how fantastic does it feel to not have that nagging back pain?
I never thought I was going to play basketball again. And the first thing I did when the back pain was gone, like I couldn't even jump. I started jumping. Like I remember that fall, and I was like, wait, it doesn't hurt anymore. I might be able to play basketball again. So I joined the local club there in Rapperswil, Switzerland. And here I was, 43, running circles around these 20-year-olds because I changed my diet too. You know, it was plant-based and just schooling them. There was some talent, but it's just amazing the energy you have when you eat this way.
Well, so I saw somewhere where you basically said that Europe, they kind of look at the C word a little bit differently. Explain that to me.
So this over there, it's actually prevalent as well. There's a lot of meat. There's a lot of cheese in Switzerland, specifically in France. If you think about all the butter they use, but they exercise so much more. People are moving. It's built into their day. You know, everybody doesn't drive to the closest parking space in front of Walmart. They're walking, they're biking, it's built into their natural movement. It's built in. So at least the exercise combats some of that malnourishment. If you have to eat meat, at least it's not, pumped with the hormones, antibiotics that we get here. But yeah, it's growing there too, in Switzerland at least. And if you look at the lowest rates are in Africa and India. That's what do they eat there?
Mostly plants.
There's no heart disease in Africa.
Yeah, especially Central Africa. So you mentioned that with the cancer, you mentioned that there's ways to, prevent it through food. When did you start that particular journey as far as switching from being a, meatitarian, omnivore, to getting your education that, hey, you know what? This plant-based thing has some merit to it.
Here we go again. Another stroke of genius from my wife.
Huh.
We had a French teacher at our bilingual day school, SIS, in Pfeffikon, and he lended her the China study. And she brought it home to me. And I like to read, but, I stick to shorter novels. And here's the China study. It was thick. And I was like, okay. So I started reading it, and I was like, he had me from like the first paragraph when he basically said he was set to inherit T. Colin Campbell. He said he's set to inherit, a $7 million a year cattle farm in Montana. And here he is writing something more powerful than money. It's called the truth.
Mm-hmm.
He's writing about the truth. And so it just bounced off the pages, and I flew through it, and just full of statistics. But that is the turning point when I read that book that Ingrid brought home. And it's just led me on a constant quest for more. And it led me to Anthony William, Dr. Robert Morse, your father, Dr. McDougall, just guys that are trying to get the word out in this epicenter of capitalism that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you first got your hands on the China study when you were over in Switzerland. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And so it was over in Switzerland then that you made the transition. Did you do it like full force? Like you, the wife, the kids, everybody jump in and do it together?
So it was basically just me at first. And the last meal I bought it was Thanksgiving when she brought me that book, and I started reading it. So the last meat I bought was turkey, and it cost me $150 because they obviously don't celebrate Thanksgiving there. Oh. And, they didn't have the pilgrims who came and were so friendly with the natives that they had a huge party. And so anyway, I found a turkey, but it was $150. But that was the last meat I bought, and that was 2017. And then I just read that and never looked back. So it was full force, tinkering with new recipes and trying to figure out ways to. And honestly, after the first 2 weeks, I didn't miss it.
Yeah,
it was like, bye.
Is there anything to this day that you miss about, I don't know, cheese or butter or a filet mignon, anything that you're like, oh man, that does smell good, or that would be nice to have a bite of that? No?
I can breathe so well now that I've stopped. It's amazing. I can use my nose because there's no mucus in there building up, trying to protect myself from the cheese and it's amazing. No, I don't miss any of it.
Yeah.
Every now and then somebody's cooking in the backyard. I just turn my head and like, yeah, I remember when that used to be good. But,
yeah.
No.
Well, tell me this, Lucas. So you're in Switzerland. You're living in, literally, as you say in the documentary, paradise. Everything's just copacetic. Life it's easy. It's pleasant. It's beautiful. It's like heaven on earth. And then you got this desire to come back to North Carolina, to your home. What was the driving force, and why did you decide to do it after 6 years in Switzerland?
So I knew if we stayed any longer, we would be there forever. And the driving force is the people of this land of the USA. I love them. They're resourceful. They're kind. They're easy to talk to. They're funny. There's just some great people here in the USA, but we've been lied to, and we're like, people all over the world have been, but this is my home. And there was just a force pulling me back to just do everything I can in my power to share the truth that I learned in Switzerland. And honestly, There's some very kind people in Switzerland too, but there's almost like blinders up where I was in the German speaking part, and and then we have the blinders here as well. Everybody's chasing, efficiency, trying to be super efficient. And I miss that soul that is still present here in the US. There's almost a Wild West feeling, like anything is possible. And that's why I knew if I wanted to start a company, it would have to be in the US, where the people needed it more. It's a little bit looser regulations. There's just more possible. There's a feeling of hope still, because of the hardships that we've gone, because of, the story of slavery, just where we come from as Americans. There's a feeling of hope still. And you don't always feel that, even in Switzerland. It is paradise, but there's pros and cons to every place. So it was hope.
So was that a hard sell to your wife and your young kids? Say, hey, we're going to go back and chase daddy's dream of doing this food truck. It sounds like the odds are kind of, on paper and in theory, probably stacked against you succeeding.
Yeah, that's the story of my life. It is. It is. I like breaking out of boxes when people try to label you, and just let them know, hey, we're so much more than a label. Yeah. Every day you have to redefine and just prove yourself. And basically my wife, she said, you have 3 to 5 years to get this business going. We're on actually she said 2 to 5 years. We're on year 3 right now. And she's behind me, but she's still like looking over her shoulder, Oh, sorry, I turned my head.
Yeah.
Scary. She's still looking over her shoulder, and we're actually going back to visit this summer. And I'm like, okay, I know she's going to rekindle some relationships, but what's wrong with Well-Fed Ed International? There's no ceiling to this, and I'm just I told her since day one, I was like, don't think small. This could be international. Why not have something that's good for people? We gave the world McDonald's, we gave the world Bojangles and Taco Bell. And why not have something that's good for people, that's international?
Well, you know what? So I think that's a great transition to, let's talk about some of the items on your incredible menu, right?
Okay.
And so I can prompt you here, or you can tell me what you want to talk about, but let's talk about some of the items on your menu, why their names are what they're named, and some of the tasty like meals that you have. So let's start. Let's start with the principal. What is the principal? Why is it called the principal?
So all of our meals are named after different folks that you would encounter at the schoolhouse, and that's our theme, education, right? So our bean burger, we call it our robust bean burger. It's made in-house, and it's a secret recipe, but it's none of this frozen stuff, that's soy product. That's fake meat. That's almost worse than real meat for you. So we do organic black beans, cumin, some coriander. We got a little brown sugar, a little apple cider vinegar, some other stuff too. But we make patties. Then we put those in avocado oil. That's the only oil that we use, and that's just for the pan to keep it from sticking.
Right.
And then we put a slab of freshly cut pineapple on top of that. We make our own guacamole. We put a big old dollop of guac on top of the pineapple. And then we put some adobo sauce, which is a secret recipe from a fellow cello player of ours back in the band days, Joe Kwan. I don't know if you've heard of him and the Avett Brothers, but he gave me that recipe. Our adobo sauce is kind of hot. It's not really hot sauce, but it has a little tingle to it. And then that comes on our potato roll. And that's the principal when it comes with fresh fruit or plantain chips or salad.
So let's talk about the music teacher, because that's a chocolate bean mole that, like, you got me right there. It's with rice. It's with a tostada kind of tortilla. And you got a corn and mango salsa, dollop of guacamole. And you say that this flavorful menu will leave you making music.
It does. So the music teacher, you're supposed to make music, right?
Yeah.
You summed it up. You said everything. There's similar elements to the principal, except for it's on tostada tortilla and the basmati rice, is under that. But it also has the adobo sauce on top. So again, the guac and the adobo goes back and forth. But you summed it up. It's delicious. It's not too chocolatey. It's also got a savory side to it. And the mango, like my former employee said, that mango salsa slaps hard on it. It does. It's all fresh. It's made daily, and it's good for you.
I'm just going to go over some of the names, and then I'm going to land on one that I want you to talk about a little bit more. But you got the Overachiever, which is a short stack of pancakes. You got the school nurse. That's this chicken salad wrap. You have the coach, the math whiz, the school resource officer, bus driver. You got everybody, and you even got the lunch lady. Is that from Saturday Night Live and Chris Farley?
It's a shout out to Adam Sandler. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chris Farley. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. What is the lunch lady?
You can't sleep on that one. Actually, each meal brings its own deliciousness. And it was just so fun. When I was sick in Switzerland, this is when I was like, I didn't know it then, but this is when I was experimenting, testing up recipes, adding stuff, taking stuff away. And the lunch lady was one of those. It was, it had eggs in it originally. And I cut the eggs out, and it's basically a stir fry. And it's a pineapple stir fry over basmati rice. And I put some color in there, whatever green I have, maybe some sugar snaps, maybe zucchini. I put carrots in there. But the pineapple was definitely the hero of it. And then we roast some cashews, chop those up, put them on top, cilantro, lime juice, agave syrup, little coconut too. We put some fresh coconut on there, and it's delicious.
You also, with almost every dish that I've seen, you typically have a side of fruit, and you also have fruit kebabs that are available with either you can put a lime juice on it, and then what's the spice that you like to put on those kebabs?
Tahini. Yeah. And it's non-GMO tahini, and it's just kind of salty, sour, lime, brings out the sweetness of the fruit, makes it pop more.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is and a friend of mine taught me this little trick, is with watermelon, you cut it up and then you put either lemon or lime juice fresh on top of it, and it just brings out the flavor tenfold. And so I saw you doing that, and I'm like, he's got it going on.
Yeah. That's the Hispanics know all about that, and they have their street food, and they're just going to town with the lime, and that wakes it up. That wakes up your water too. If you put a little spritz of lime juice or lemon in there, it activates all those minerals and all the good stuff in there.
And what I love is you even have a shout out to the custodian. You leave nobody that's part of the school system that's out of this. And God, love the custodians. They work so hard. And that looks like a chickpea sloppy Joe.
Yeah. And that was easy because, it's sloppy. So you got to have extra cleanup. So it's obviously going to be the custodian,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. If you know the custodian, if you're a teacher and you're in tight with them, you got it made. You got even more so than the principal. You got to know the custodian.
Now, tell me a little bit about your truck, your food truck, and who are you serving right now? Are you serving the school system? What's your core audience?
That's a great question. My core audience is females that know how to eat, because men want to be tough. And every once in a while, you'll get somebody that comes up and tries it and is like, man, this is good, but usually I'd say our core audience is, which thankfully most teachers are female, but I'd say 25, maybe 30 to 55 is our core females. And that's goes in line with who we serve most of all is school teachers. We go to all the schools here in New Hanover County. And that's our core. That's our base right now. And we're looking to expand it because this stuff's for everybody.
And what did you do to get permission to basically take the food truck to all these different schools?
I've been blessed with people that believe in the mission, local principals that I knew some of them before I went to Switzerland because I taught with them for 10 years or so. And I came back and they were all trying to recruit me to teach again. And I was like, I can't. I got to focus and give my full energy to this mission right now. As much as I want to, sorry, I can't right now. But I'm back in the schools, teaching many lessons to the kids. I'm going in the end of April to a second grade class. But basically just word of mouth and knowing lots of principals and those guys being advocates for the mission and just it's a tight knit community here. Wilmington is, and I'm thankful for it.
How many different schools are we talking about that you take the school truck and visit? So
the food truck, we go to all 44 New Hanover County schools, and we go to the 2 local colleges, UNCW and Cape Fear Community College. We don't serve the students yet at the K through 12 schools. We're just serving the staff, but that's my hope, is to eventually get to the students and, reteach them what they've been brainwashed to believe with our, food pyramid and other propaganda that's pumped into our heads. Just teach them the truth, which is these are good and they're good for you.
So tell me, it's been you said about 2 years. Is this the kind of thing right now where are you profitable, or how are you feeling about the future?
Not profitable yet.
Okay. All right. Well, not many startups are, so that's fine. Yeah.
There's a lot of skeptics. Thankfully, because I was in Switzerland and we had a super high, salary.
Yeah.
And my wife is generous. We've been pumping stuff in and taking leaps of faith, and I've been praying and just hoping that it catches on. And doors are opening, and more people are realizing that, hey, this is legit. And people are recognizing the name and getting honks when we drive down the street. People are coming behind, and that's what it takes. You can't build Rome in one day, right?
Yeah. There's a guy here in Austin, and he came from Seattle. He had a business he was called the Soup Peddler, and he would make soup and he'd deliver it on the back of his bicycle to people that subscribed to this soup service. And obviously this was in Austin, and he probably started this, 25, 30 years ago, but it got to the point to where now he's got, 7 different retail locations. They're all still called the Soup Peddler, where people can go and get the soup and smoothies and things of that nature. So to your point, you never know, right, the evolution and where this food truck will be in 3 to 5 to 6 years, right? And it's amazing that opportunities present themselves, doors open, especially when you're passionate, you believe in something, and you're putting everything you got into it. So in the documentary, you say that this food truck is so hard. What is the hardest thing about a food truck?
So the other day, one of my employees called me, and he was like, I got some bad news. And I'm like, okay, what happened? He said, well, I was trying trying to park aesthetically, and I pulled the generator and it fell out of the truck, and it's still running. And so I had to leave my family. I had built-in family time, to go troubleshoot this. And then it was like, actually, and he called me like 5 minutes later. It's like, actually, there's more bad news. The menu board blew off blew off the side of the truck while I was driving. So here I am looking for it. And so the hardest thing about the food truck is probably the food truck itself. And
right.
So I just balancing the time with my family, because I miss that the most. I got so much time with my kids when I was sick, and I would see my wife leave when we were in Switzerland, leave to go to work, and I was home because I was recovering. But I was with, a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I would get mad at her when she'd leave. I'd be like, she's going to work. It's like vacation. Here, I could handle 40 kids, and I'm not even lying. 40 kids in my classroom teaching Spanish, and they'd be pin drop quiet if I'd leave, to make copies or something. And teachers would be like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
I just told them no talking while I'm gone. Like, they know I'm serious and we have fun when it's time to have fun.
Yeah.
But I could not handle my own 2 kids at home. But I got precious time with them while they were in a younger, formidable, age. But now it's like I'm always on the truck, and I really miss that family time. So one of the hardest things is just balancing that and making time for family.
I got kind of 2 back-to-back. I think one's a comment and then one's a question. So in the documentary, you talk about how when you were younger, your father would drop you off at some of these food stands, and you learned very quickly it wasn't so much about the money, it was about the conversations that you have. And what is it about you? It seems to me that whether you've been, a teacher, a musician, a caterer, now, running the food truck, you love being in service to the people. Why do you think that is?
Because I love people. Because I've been given so much love, and I want to return it. And you don't hear about it on the news, but there's some good people out there. And I feel like if you nurture and you feed that goodness, that's what's going to grow. And it's just, I feel like I have to pay it back, because so many people have poured their love into me. And there's nothing better than to see young eyes, or any eyes, looking on you and telling them the truth, and helping them to hopefully find their passions. So, yeah, that's what we're all here for, right? If we all looked out for each other, it would be a beautiful, beautiful place.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love that. What can we, the Plant Strong community, the audience that's listening, that's hearing your story, what can we do to help you and your mission and the food truck and those that you are trying to, share this education about eating healthy? What can we do to help?
You're already doing it. You're already doing it by having us on, and we're grateful just to be a part, and because you have a huge platform, and we just we're grateful to have that.
Yeah, but I would imagine, tell me if I go to your website, is there something that we can do to contribute to meals that feed then kids that have never had an opportunity to eat this way?
Yeah, we do have something like that. It's called field trips. Sticking with the educational theme.
Nice.
Where we had the community at large. We've done a few of these. We haven't done those in 2025 yet, but we find a partner to collaborate with in the community. We went to an inner city school, and we asked the community at large to donate meals at cost. And then we went to the school and we passed out 140 free plant-based meals. It was actually the principal to these kids. Kids were like looking, inner city kids, like, I've never seen a pineapple on a burger before. And they loved it. And so, yes, we have the field trips, which you could donate to. We're in the process of opening a discussion about a 501c3, trying to get, a nonprofit with the for-profit under Well-Fed Ed. But the most help would be just spreading the word, telling people that live in North Carolina, hey, if you ever come to the beach, come track down the Well-Fed Ed food truck. And it's not all about Well-Fed Ed. It's also about, hey, just empower yourself by knowing you're going to feel so much better by eating plants.
Yeah.
That's at the end of the day why we're trying to do this.
Well, it'd be great if we could all, toss in $25-$30 for a really cool salad cap and, or whatever, $50, make sure that you're making a lot of money to help you achieve your goal here with your food trucks and your dream. It's something else. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you're ever in the area for a retreat, say like Black Mountain, and you need some food, you could always.
Well, we're going to be there in November. We're there for a retreat, the Plant Strong retreat. So I will be reaching out to you. Well, Lucas, this has been wonderful meeting you, getting a taste of how you do so wonderfully wax poetic. You're a very special human being, and I love the way you're chasing after your dreams with your wife by your side and your kids in tow. It's a great thing. Blessings
all around, man. And I'm just fortunate and grateful to you guys at Plant Strong and what you guys do, and Carrie, and just the legacy that you're continuing in your family. And thank you for that.
Yeah, well, you're welcome, and thank you. So, hey, on the way out, I want you to give me a Plant Strong fist bump. But before we do, where can we find you on Instagram? What's your website? What are all your kind of bells and whistles so people can follow you and support you? Okay.
So on Instagram, we're at Well-Fed Ed 2022. So that's the year that we, started inception. So, at Well-Fed Ed 2022. That's our Instagram. And then you can check out what we do online at our website as well. There's actually a hyphen in between well and fed. So it's well-fed-ed.com.
Mm-hmm.
So well-feded.com.
There it is.
Yeah. Beautiful.
All right. So give me a little bit of a virtual Plant Strong fist bump on the way out. Boom. Ooh. Go get them, Lucas. Go get them.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. If you're interested in supporting Lucas and the Well-Fed Ed mission, I want you to know that they sell hats and shirts on their website, and we would love to help them spread the word about the Well-Fed Ed mission. I'll be sure to put a link to his website and the documentary in today's show notes. But I find it so amazing what a plant-based diet can do. And yes, it helped Lucas regain his health and vitality after his cancer battle, but it also was what inspired him to do more to help others in his community, and it really doesn't get much better than that. And that is why I always encourage each and every one of you to always keep it Plant Strong. Thanks so much for listening. The Plant Strong podcast team includes Carrie Barrett, Lori Kordowich, and Amy Mackey. If you like what you hear, do us a favor and share the show with your friends and loved ones. You can always leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And while you're there, make sure to hit that follow button so that you never miss an episode. As always, this and every episode is dedicated to my parents, Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn Jr. and Ann Cryle Esselstyn. Thanks so much for listening.